The land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Haudenosaunee, Attawandarock, and Mississauga people, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many Indigenous peoples, many made up of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement should remind us of our responsibility to ensure the Dish, the territories in which we live and work, is never empty, and that we take care of the land and its inhabitants in a way that ensures its future sustainability. So welcome to this hearing of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of St. Catharines. Everyone present will be given an opportunity to comment on the applications being heard. There are two major types of applications at this committee: applications for consent and severance, and applications for minor variances to municipal zoning bylaw requirements. Evidence may be required to be given under oath if deemed necessary. Please address your comments and questions through the chair, that is me this evening. Additionally, please maintain respect while communicating with the committee, staff, and other meeting participants to ensure smooth, orderly discussion. Copies of decisions will be mailed to the applicant and any other person who appeared before the committee or filed a written request to receive a notice of decision. Pursuant to More Homes Built Faster Act, in the matter of consent applications, the applicant, the minister, or a specified person or public body that has an interest in the matter has a right to appeal either the decision itself or the conditions of the consent to the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of the mailing of the decision. Minor variance decisions may also be appealed. However, they must be made within 20 days of the making of the decision, and the cost of an appeal is $400. Are there any amendments or additions to the agenda?
I'll just provide the committee a couple of updates. That the committee consider the request for the amendment to 8 and 10 Phelps notice of decision to be a minor change of conditions. That the committee be aware that the wording for variance number 7 for 4 College Street 8124 requests an increase instead of a reduction of the maximum encroachment of the eaves and gutters into the required yard from within 0.15 meters of the lot line to within 0 meters of the lot line. Forestry comments were provided for 98 Royal Manor Drive. Amended regional comments were provided for 1724 Gregory Road. And please note that variance number 1 for the reduction of lot frontage for 27 Queenston Street is for an existing situation. And also, we just received some comments with regards to Ford College Street from a Jan Campbell Luxton of College Street. And she writes, I am writing to you to express my wholehearted support for the addition being proposed by Dan Romanko for his garage at 4 College Street. The house in question is directly across the street from mine, and I think the addition is a most welcome and appropriate addition to their property and the neighborhood. The window in my living room looks out at their property, and I can see no issue with the scale and scope of work they are hoping to pursue. Written comments were provided to the committee as well. That concludes all updates.
Thank you so much. May we have a motion to approve the agenda? Tom, thank you. May we have a motion to adopt the minutes from the previous meeting? Carrie, thank you. Does any member of this panel have a conflict of interest in any of the applications to be considered at this hearing or the previous hearing if they were not in attendance? I do not. So no one does. Great, thank you. Are there any requests for withdrawal or adjournment?
There was one request for an adjournment for 70 Leaper Street. I believe the owner is present. 70 Leaper. Staff has requested that the minor variance application deferral be extended to the April 23rd, 2025 hearing, as a revised notice of hearing was required for additional minor variance. So the revised notice was circulated and will be at next week's special hearing.
70 Leaper Street, have you just walked in? Nope.
No? Okay.
Great. So at this point, we're asking the committee to comment on the
approval of the extension to next Wednesday.
So the applicant's not here to complain or suggest how long they want it to be. So Carrie?
I move that application A80-24 be deferred until next week, April 23rd.
All right, that's our special hearing, right. Come together. All those in favor of the motion? So that motion has been passed unanimously to defer the application to the 23rd. Thank you. That should clear the way for us to talk about, right, the request for minor change of conditions for 8 and 10 Phelps Street. Is there anybody here representing that application? Please come on down. So would you like to please state your name and comment on the request for the minor change of conditions?
Sure. I'm Nicholas Godfrey with Upper Canada Consultants, and the request for the change of condition came from the city, and I have no objection to it.
Great, thank you. Looks like they're just extending the road widening over part 4 of the property. Great. Any questions or clarifications required from the committee members? Otherwise, we'll have a motion to accept that change of condition. David?
Sorry. I'd like to move that the conditions for 8 Phelps consent application B22 and 2324 SC be revised such that the widening of the street is to be provided across the entirety of the property to be designated as 10 Phillips Street, namely parts 1, 2, and 4, as shown on the consent sketch provided November 13th, 2024.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion? Great, you're...
Just want to conclude it. Say that it is considered minor in nature, so it doesn't have to be recirculated?
Yes.
Thanks, we will see you some future date. Or no, we won't. This is just, okay, great. Okay, now we are in the regular part of the hearing review. So we're going to be starting with 98 Royal Manor Drive. Come on down. Have a seat, get comfortable. Find the on switch on your microphone, tell us who you are, and please provide to our discussion about the proposed attached garage and the various variances that have been requested, some which are being approved and some which are being denied.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Daniel Romanko. I'm a professional planner with Better Neighborhoods. I'm here on behalf of the owners of this property. The purpose of this application is to construct a detached garage on the property. The majority of those variances are circumstantial in the sense that the shorter frontage is considered the lot frontage. And so we've reviewed the technical report, are in support of the 3 recommended variances, together with the conditions set out by staff. We did want an opportunity just to kind of explain the rationale for the 4th, which is the percentage of driveway in relationship to the house. As you can see from the sketch, the idea here is just to provide a walkway between the house and the driveway. You'll note that the driveway itself is, although it's a double car garage width, is taken to the inside of the garage doors, so it's not beyond what would be considered excessive. And the purpose or hope is that we could have a permeable surface adjacent to the house to protect the house from water drainage. So that's the intent of that variance. Nothing further.
Great, thank you. Any questions or clarifications from the members of the committee? Anybody in the gallery who wishes to speak to this application? Back to the committee for a motion, please.
I had a question.
Oh, I'd be happy to hear it.
To planning. Clearly, in the technical report, the 9.4 meters includes the sidewalk. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. The walkway and the driveway are level so that a vehicle could pull on and park onto it, so it does count as part of the parking area as proposed.
Is there any way that those two things could coexist?
Through the chair, if the applicant did anything to prevent parking on the walkway, such as a grade change for a portion of the walkway or something physically separating the two, then it would be considered just a walkway. But as soon as it's connected to the parking area and you could fit cars side by side there, that would be part of the parking area.
Through you to planning. So, in theory, we could agree with the declination of variance 4, but somewhere along the line, the applicant could agree to put a curb or what have you, and would be able to proceed based on this drawing. Correct?
Through the chair, from the bird's eye view, it could look the same if they put in a curb, but it would limit the parking area, which is the intent. So yes, you could choose to deny the variance to the driveway and still end up with a site plan that looked similar, but a different sort of physical reality.
What we've seen in the past, in situations like this, I recall that even a differentiation in the surface material is not acceptable because there really should be, it's the prevention of a vehicle from occupying that space. So there really is an attempt at restricting the vehicles to the zoning bylaw required with the 50% of the principal building with 7.2 meters in this case.
If we were to put forward a motion with a condition to identify separation in some manner, would that be acceptable?
Well, let's ask the I mean, if this is a situation where it looks like there's going to be the walkway would straddle perhaps a garage door. You know, it may not be something that could actually be accommodated. So let's ask the applicant if they can envision a way where there's a physical barrier defining this integrated walkway from the driveway surface.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there certainly is alternatives to providing, you know, what appears to be a concrete walkway here. We could do patio stones or some other form of treatment, but provide a separation between the actual pavement and the walkway. That is a possibility. I don't think a grade change is desirable in this case to provide a lip, as it were, on the sidewalk. So, you know, if this is a real problem, I mean, I think we could work with it, but this is their preference.
Thank you. David, is that, thank you. Well, we're still back to the committee with respect to a motion regarding this application.
Following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance application A1925, as presented in the notice of hearing, variances 1, 2, 3, and 4 be approved, subject to the conditions outlined in the technical report for variances 1, 2, and 3, as the variances are minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and are in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
For my own clarification, and perhaps those of others. So you're Motion is in support of the applicant's request, or in support of providing the variances as requested by the applicant for 1, 2, 3, and 4, against the staff recommendation.
But including the conditions that were out.
Yeah, great,
Yes.
thank you. So with that clarity, all those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? So your application has been approved, however, not unanimously.
Thank you.
Well, I have to be careful. Your application has been, the motion for your application has been approved with the 2 conditions suggested by staff for 1 and 2 and 3, and has been, unlike staff's recommendation, variance 4 has been approved. Right, thank you. And now we're on to College Street, 4 College Street. We had, at the beginning of our meeting, we had some early received correspondence from a neighbor at 7 College Street in support of the applicant's proposal. We're looking at a proposal for a 1-story addition to an existing detached garage to accommodate a new accessory dwelling unit. This application was before us a couple months ago. It's been deferred until now. We have a staff report recommending of the 8 variances that 1 to 3 and 5 and 8 be denied. Variances 4 and 6 be approved. Variance 7 be as per denied as per below, as per comments from the staff. Does the applicant wish to offer some discussion about this?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do have a presentation I would like to show. So if you don't mind, I just wanted to pan something out as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can begin, earlier I mentioned that I was here in a professional capacity for the last application. Here I'm here as a homeowner, and I'd just like to describe to the committee what our intentions are and how we've done our best to address concerns that were raised earlier. So you can see outlined in red is our home. We live on College Street, near Montebello Park, close to all the amenities, including a bus depot and amenities of downtown. We back onto the Verge Insurance parking lot and Mount Carmel in that corner as well. And beside us is a 4-plex. Across the street, a 6-plex, some semis. Beside us to the, call it the northeast, is a single detached home. Single family. So there's a variety of housing types in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. This is a survey of our property. You can see we've got a garage, detached garage. I'm told it's quite old. I'm not sure exactly the age, but it's at least a few decades old. It's positioned on the neighboring property line on the interior side yard and 2 feet from the rear. Next slide, please. This is an image of our site plan. Really no changes to this of any big degree in terms of the site plan, except for a cantilever of 2 feet in one direction and 0.4 in the other. Next slide. Our existing garage looks like that from the driveway, and you can see various shots. The one on the bottom right taken from the rear, which notes that there's been some recent construction to the garage. And then you can see the edge of a very mature white spruce tree. Next slide, please. And there's a tree in its middle. So noteworthy is that the roof of the current garage slopes front to back, and There's a gutter along the back, which deposits a single roof leader down in the back towards where the mature tree is. Next slide. This is just a streetscape essentially of our home. Regrettably, we're on the left of the second picture, and we've lost the tree recently, which is a shame, but our home is a little more visible now. Next slide. So when we came to committee, or made original application back in November, we were proposing this addition. We went to Heritage Committee, we had their support for that. It's essentially a 800 square foot, sub 800 square foot addition, 1.5 story addition with a loft. Next slide, please. Based on the recommendation report received and some concerns and issues from development engineering, we revised the concept and obviously just removed the loft and changed the pitch of the roof in order to address the height. You'll note that the existing building height has been reduced so that the ceiling underneath is 7'7" in order to keep the overall height down. Next slide, please. You can see by this we're exceeding the height limit to the peak of the roof by 1.1 meters. And we're seeking a side yard setback on the second floor to 0.2 meters, which is enough to permit a gutter along that edge. Next slide, please. And this is just some elevations. Of note, and I think of concern of staff, was the neighboring balcony. You can see that we used a Matterport to estimate the level of the balcony because we're reducing the first floor, or what is called labeled there as the second floor, on our ADU addition. The balcony is almost a meter above that. So, you know, for illustration purposes, we showed a 6 foot tall figure that would be standing on that balcony and its relationship. And one of the benefits of the redesign is actually to improve the situation for the neighbor, in so much as they now have an angled roof pitch and much less imposing face of building on that side. Next slide, please. And this is just a contextual diagram showing the relationship of the proposed ADU within the backdrop of the existing principal dwellings on either side. Next slide. And very modest ADU is being proposed here. The principal dwelling requires storage on the left-hand side of the ground floor, so that's not included in the floor area. We're just covering a little bit more than 600 square feet of living space. Really, the only second floor is the only pragmatic living space in the whole thing. The rest is utility, closet, wash, laundry, that type of thing. Next slide. So this is a list of the variants that are required in order to support this. Items 4 and 6 are being supported by staff. I'd like to speak to the ones that are not being supported, but I did have a note just for a point of clarity. In the planning report, it does note or indicate that it's 1.7 meters from the proposed, whereas we're seeking 1.6, just for clarity. And the required parking spaces are really just a technical variance. There's no problem parking 2 cars. We do it often. And yet the curbing, the stone curbing in the driveway does not meet the required parking for the city standards. So the request is to remove that altogether. Next slide, please. Many of these variances, you can appreciate, are a function of the fact that, you know, the home was built in 1910, the garage likely thereafter, and obviously predated the zoning bylaw. So contextually, that means that, you know, the bylaw isn't conforming to the property, but the property now has to conform to the bylaw. The existing garage is, as I said, 2 feet off the back property line, where 4 is now required. There's no proposed openings, combustible wall as per building code, and we don't see any issues with drainage or maintenance as a result of recognizing what's already there, even with the addition. The interior side to the east, the first floor, again, pre-existing condition. The brick garage wall has been there for a long time. We're not proposing anything different. The one benefit of this proposal is that there's currently an eve encroachment onto the neighbor's property. That would be remedied through this, so that there would no longer be that encroachment. Next slide. I mentioned earlier we're seeking an 8-inch or 0.2 meter setback on the second floor. Once again, this more or less recognizes where the garage is. You have to build above. We're not proposing any combustible, we're proposing a non-combustible wall without any openings. The nice thing about this setback is it has an architectural alignment with the brick wall below. And the intention for the building cladding is to do something that is very low maintenance, such as hardy board, which is a fiber cement board that requires no maintenance except for maybe painting every 20 years or something. And once again, we believe there's enough space there to address the gutter, and that's in support of the change in roof direction from the original concept. The height variance I indicated earlier, really with a very small footprint, we're limited in size. We wanted to vault the ceiling internally to provide a little more spaciousness to what is otherwise essentially 440 square feet of living space. Again, I mentioned the ground level isn't needed for storage for, you know, winter tires, and we have a wood burning fireplace, things like that nature, which are just not suitable inside the house. Again, still a single-story addition, and we reduced the floor height as much as possible. Next slide. This is just to permit the eaves to encroach into the side yard. The first, number 7. And number 8, you can appreciate if we have no openings on the side yard or the rear yard, it's nice to have some natural light into the place, and there's only one window facing south along the driveway. So we have some wonderful dormer windows proposed on the side, yet the zoning bylaw does not permit windows over 4.5 meters, which seems like it doesn't really want to encourage ADUs. Anyway, so that's the proposal. Next. So in summary, we believe we have a very architecturally appropriate design. This is a heritage neighborhood. We want to do a good job with being sympathetic to that. Heritage has not seen any issues with our proposal. They were very supportive of the first one. I understand we have to go back and get a heritage permit. We need housing. We're in a housing crisis. And this is low-hanging fruit and very accessible, incremental type housing. As I said before, very walkable neighborhood. I don't think you get better than this in the downtown area. We don't expect any maintenance or drainage issues. What I sent around was a response from 2 engineers who have commented on the drainage concerns that development engineering had for the property. They were still not satisfied, but this is the kind of thing I think we could certainly work through. I think if you have 2 professional engineers saying that there's no concerns, that should be meaningful. From a pragmatic perspective and a sustainability perspective, we're using an existing building with available services. We're not proposing any major impacts to neighboring properties, and this application meets the 4 tests for variance. Next
Thank you.
slide, thanks.
Yep, thank you for your presentation. Any questions or clarifications from the members of the committee? Anybody in the gallery who wishes to speak to this application? The process is you'll make your way through those saloon doors over there, sit at the head of the horseshoe, turn on your microphone, give us your name, your address, and contribute to the conversation, please.
My name is Todd Dunning. I'm the neighbor at 28 College Street to the east. If you don't mind, can we go back to the initial aerial shot of the street view in the beginning of the slideshow? There. I'm going to begin with the comments from the neighbor who said he lives across the street and said this wouldn't disturb him. He's offset. He can't even see it. I, on the other hand, have the property that your planning department said would be overwhelmingly affected by this. And the slideshow finishes saying minimal impact on the neighbors. Overwhelming or minimal, I'm not sure which. I brought some photos just to show what we're dealing with. None of the slide presentation showed our home with good reason because of the impact it would have on our kitchen, our living room, our bedroom, and our son's room.
Well, so generally speaking,
Yes.
you are not in support of the proposal, and having had the opportunity to read the staff report.
I did. I ran it through my friend's engineering department as well.
Okay, so you're in support of the staff report then?
No.
You're
Oh,
not.
I'm sorry. I am in support of the staff
All
report.
right. We would have had the opportunity to visit the site and probably see what your photos indicate.
Yep.
Did you want to provide, so your primary concern is obviously the impact on the privacy of the neighborhood.
From wall to wall, it is 52 inches. And that doesn't count the overhang on the roof of the garage or our gutters. Wall to wall, 52 inches. If you look at the picture out of our kitchen window, I can almost touch that wall. We will see nothing after that. The dining room, same. There's a photo from the dining room. There's a photo from our balcony, which is not just a balcony, it's also a fire escape for our son and for us. I just built a warehouse here at 18 Commerce Place. Non-combustible is for a time. There's a set burn-through time for everything. I was 1 foot too close with my warehouse and I had to have 2-hour burn-through time, and that's to another commercial property. Not a home built in 1906, it's made entirely of wood. Like, my house would be kindling.
Is there any questions from the members of the committee to the presenter and their comments at this particular time?
Through you to the resident, I guess what we're looking at is pictures of through your window at the existing garage?
That's correct.
All right.
Well, just since this is going through me, and does the applicant have anything further they wish to add to address any of the specific comments that were made?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can appreciate where Mr. Dunning is coming from. However, I am a little surprised in so much as I did approach him, being a good neighbor, back in November before we made the application, and he didn't really have an objection to it at that time. Once I received the report, it did seem like he was concerned. I reached out and tried to, have a conversation about those concerns. When I revised the plans, I also reached out and basically was ghosted. And, as a professional planner, I am sympathetic to the kind of impacts that these things can have. I think that the proposal does address a lot of those concerns, or certainly the revision of that original proposal does. The balcony is offset from the garage. It's a little proud of the garage in terms of its alignment. While it's inconsequential. I mean, they haven't used it in some time. I think there's some damage there that prevents the door, but that's obviously not a factor here. But I would say that there was certainly a lot of consideration and effort on my part to try and address any concerns that were had. And I, frankly, to be quite honest, I would never have made this application if I didn't have support from the neighbor.
Okay, thank you. Rosa, could you, in the presentation, could you bring up the slide that had the representation of an individual silhouette standing on the at the elevation of the proposed? Yeah, keep going. Up there, there is the person. So to the neighbor, so this is a representation, as I understand it, as if someone was standing on your deck.
Correct.
And how how the building would present itself. So do you feel this is fairly accurate in terms of presenting your concern about the change, the impact of the change you're going to see?
I built the balcony up there so we could enjoy the sun. And the sun travels to the other side of that building across the side in the summer, and we won't have any of that anymore. And that's not even discussing the main floor, the impact on the main floor. So another concern of mine is that roof is sloped towards us and at 0.0 meters to the property line. Behind that is that massive tree that he pointed out. And on our roof, we get all the pine needles and they sit there. Fine, I live in a heritage neighborhood, big trees, all that. But when there's a thunderstorm or something, all the pine needles come down in like 0.2 seconds and they plug up our gutters and we get a cascading waterfall. That is impossible to prevent, and that will come straight down on us. And worse than what our roof is doing, because our roof is considerably further away from the pine tree than that proposed roof.
So taking the building height into consideration, this proposal, so there's a 6, in this case for an accessory dwelling unit, unlike a primary dwelling unit, the measure of the height of the building is to the ridge of the roof, not half the height of the roof. So, so this part of this application, one of the variances for the height increase. If the applicant were to redesign it so that the principal volume roof height, or the height of the dormers, as shown by the line here now, if they were to flatten that, for example, they would meet the zoning bylaw for height, and that would not be one of the 8 variances that they're asking for, but it would reduce the height of the garage overall, and therefore the impact on you. So if the applicant were to do that, just to come back and redesign it, they could remove, that could be lessened, the impact of your, I guess it'd be your west view, by the roof lowering. Would that make it any more palatable? Or is it the whole package?
Well,
really?
there's no building that could be built there that's not going to blacken our kitchen and dining room. Okay. Forget about our patio. And this is to come back to the point that in perpetuity, I don't know who's going to live there. 52 inches from my house. I can't control that. I can't control what's going to go on there. I can't control the volume of people coming through.
Okay, well, again, most of the variances speak to the existing 1-story garage, which has been there since perhaps 1910.
It's the oldest one in St. Catharines.
And obviously, the attempt here is to maintain that vertical extrusion with this proposed, but again, going against the zoning bylaw. So I think your point has been well made. So at this point, if there's nothing more to add, I will ask if anybody else wishes to speak to the application, and we'll continue the hearing with your comments in mind. Okay, thank you. So you're welcome to return to the gallery. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak to this application? Turn your mic off, please. So with the written correspondence that we received with the presentation provided now, the presentation by the applicant. Are there now any questions or comments, clarifications from the members of the committee? Because if there aren't, then we're into the process of someone putting forth a motion.
Following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance 4 and 6 of variance application 8124 as presented in the notice of hearing be approved, as the variances are minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and are in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and that variances 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8 of variance application A8124 as presented in the notice of hearing be denied, as they are not minor in nature, appropriate or desirable for the use of the land, nor in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
Again, for my clarification, your motion was in support of staff's report. Okay. Is there any discussion among the members of the committee regarding this motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Okay, so that's unanimously in favor of the motion. Okay, so the motion was passed in favor of the staff report. Okay, thank you. So we're moving on to item number 3 in our agenda, which is 27 Queenston Street. At 27 Queenston Street, this is a minor variances to permit the conversion of an existing mixed-use residential and commercial space to a 5-unit standalone residential apartment building. The staff report recommends approval of the 3 minor variances in support of the application. The applicant is here. Your name, address, and anything you wish to add, please.
Yeah, so it's Zach Tews, and then my home address? Oh, 27.
Where you work or where you live?
27 Queenston is the building that I'm currently working on.
Great, thank you. So as I mentioned, staff recommends approval. Is there anything you wish to add further for the committee's consideration?
No, we actually looked back into the phone book. The building, as the oldest phone book that the city held, which was 1961, did formerly exist as a 5-unit apartment building. So I'm realistically just bringing it back to what it was originally functioned as. And as times have changed, we're kind of moving away from retail with the introduction of new commercial industry, housing being a predominant concern. I think that housing is more important, especially on Queenston, where all of Queenston is developed into multi-unit housing.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or clarifications from committee members? Carrie? Oh, okay. Is there anybody in the gallery who wishes to speak to this application for 27 Queenston Street? Nope. Carrie, looks like you're ready to throw a motion out there.
Following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance application A1525 as presented in the notice of hearing be approved as recommended in a technical report, as the 3 minor variances are minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and are in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion? Your application's been approved unanimously. Thank you. All right, we are on item number 5 in our exciting agenda, and that takes us across town into the farmland at 1724 Gregory Road. And at 1724 Gregory Road, which I recall from a previous application, I think. There is a 2 minor variance requests to accommodate a proposed addition to an existing greenhouse. And they relate to rear yard setbacks and minimum interior side yard setbacks. So it's sitting a little bit closer to the property lines than zoning bylaw will allow. Would the applicant like to state their name, address, and anything they wish to add? And by the way, you've read the staff report presumably, and staff are recommending approval. Hit the microphone button, you only have one more chance to get it right. Oh, it's the little person in the bottom.
This one.
Yeah,
Life is so simple. Thank you.
it's so obvious now. Isn't it?
My name is Peter van der Bos, live on 1724 Gregory Road. We submitted an application for a minor variance to a small addition to a greenhouse and the construction of a loading dock. This additional will add some growing area to our greenhouse and will also create a safe and enclosed space for loading trucks and unloading trucks and protect us from the weather in the wintertime when we have to do that.
Okay, thank you. I'm just curious, were you before us 2 years ago or so regarding this particular greenhouse?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
That's how my memory goes. Great, thank you. Is there anybody from the members of the committee who wish to ask any questions or clarifications of the applicant? Anybody of the remaining dwindling people in the gallery who wishes to speak this application? Tom, do you want to? Sure. Hey, don't fight over the making the motion, please, please. Perhaps Dale wants to speak up to this one. Tom, no, Tom, it's yours. Here, take it.
Following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance application A2125, as presented in the notice of hearing, be approved as recommended in the technical report, as the variance is minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and is in keeping with the general intent, and are in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion? Your application has been approved unanimously. Thank you. Build and grow. Thank you. Now I'll be looking for the 6th item on our agenda, which is probably a Tulip Tree Common thing. It is. 46, Tulip Tree Common. Come on down and stay down here for a couple of applications. Hello, welcome. So we have an application for minor variances to I'm still on the greenhouse. There we go. One minor variance request to recognize an existing covered deck in a semi-detached development where there are going to be several other applications concerning similar things, which are following a couple other applications earlier this year, which we reviewed. In this case, staff report is recommending approval. So would the applicant wish to state their name, address, and anything they wish to add, please?
Sure. Midas Rahman, Silvergate Homes, 1051 Old Thurlestone Road. I did have a presentation as well, just some pictures.
Yeah, presentation. Cue the presentation.
I'm Bob Sutter, one of the owners of 46 Tulip Tree.
Thank you so much.
I'm here with my wife as well, Linda.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Village on 12 is a long-standing neighborhood in the city of St. Catharines. Next slide, please. Throughout the history of the project, the ownership and the development group has gone through minor variance applications and rezoning applications to ensure they construct a complete and enjoyable community. Next slide, please. This application and the other 3 that are behind it are specific to phase 6. This involves 10 condo townhouses originally constructed as a vacant land condo development. The project was constructed through the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've been working with staff for quite some time to get the application in compliance for each of the units. Next slide. So this is the one Mr. Sutter is here for specifically, Unit 46, number 2. This is the covered deck. The covering on this deck was added after construction. As such, the variance was required. And for this one specifically, we would be in support of the staff report.
Great.
Yeah, there's other slides for the other applications.
Yeah,
but I
great,
figured
thank
we'd
you.
break it up. Yeah.
Any questions, comments, clarifications from any of the members of the committee, of the applicant? Anybody in the gallery wish to speak to this application? Anybody in support of it in there? Yeah, I thought so, yeah, okay, we knew that. I guess at this point, we'll be looking for a motion, Carrie.
Following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance application 7324, as presented in the notice of hearing, be approved as recommended in the technical report, as the single variance is minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and is in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
All those in favor of the motion? Okay, that application's been approved unanimously. Next. Let me announce the next one. The next item on our agenda is 48 Tulip Tree Common. And the issue here is, I guess a couple more issues here, right? So at 48 Tulip Tree Common, there are 2 minor variances being requested to, related to an existing deck extension and a driveway width increase. Staff report recommends approval of variance 1, which is related to the minimum setback from the rear lot line to a platform structure, 1.2 meters above grade, which is fortunately recommending approval. Variance number 2, which is a maximum unit driveway width of 50% of the unit width. The proposed is 56%. Staff are recommending it to be denied. And I invite the new person sitting at the desk to give us name and address, and we'll happy to hear the comments.
Sure, I'm Maureen Devine, and I live at Unit 48 on Tulip Tree Common.
Thank you so much.
So generally, we're in agreement with the staff position on the deck. And so I guess the driveway, so I have the picture of the driveway up here. I guess that's the one that we should discuss. So when we're reviewing the driveway, we've broken it up into 3 parts. There's the pedestrian access portion, there's the actual driveway portion in blue there, and then there's what we call the landscape portion, which is concrete banding separating this driveway from the neighboring driveway. So this seems like the variance is specific for that pedestrian access, the red hatching there, and that's the increase in the width. In the planning report, the original arrangement of the porch and the steps with the driveway connection is shown. Through construction, there were some changes to how this was developed, and this is what we ended up with at the end of the day. We feel this is supportable. It allows for pedestrian access and does not allow for multiple cars to park in the driveway. That's where we are.
Okay, so following a previous application with similar circumstances, and remembering what staff's stance was on that, are there any further questions, comments, or clarifications from community members of the committee? Tom?
Yeah, in reference to that new site plan in the photo of the existing conditions, it looks like more than just the driveway arrangement was changed from the original site plan. In the original site plan and in the staff report, it looks like the driveways were not adjacent to or the garages were not adjacent to each other. Is that true?
Yeah, so there were revisions between the time of approval in 2016 and when we actually started constructing 2019.
So I guess through the chair to staff, how does significant building alterations like that, presumably different than what the building permit application would have seen, how does that get built and not inspected? So we get to a condition where we have a driveway that was, because it's not just a driveway here, it was additional changes. I'm just wondering how that doesn't get inspected until there's another issue that's identified.
Through the chair to committee adjustment member, so the plans that were submitted at the building permit stage in terms of the building footprint, are similar to what is built right now. So at the time, the driveways that was shown, same as at the time of the site plan approval, they did comply with zoning bylaw. So in terms of the issuing the building permits, there was no issues with the structure itself. But then the builder built a driveway larger than it is permitted based on the zoning bylaw. So that's why we are here today. Just to say it again, the driveways that was shown at the site plan and at the building permit stage did comply with zoning bylaw.
I suppose ultimately, a driveway could be installed as a gravel driveway and remain as such until some point someone comes along and enhances it. So at that time, a building inspector might not pick up on it. Charlotte, is there anything you wish to add?
Yes, I would just like to add that it's my understanding that this was identified through an inspection, the landscaping inspection, which does tend to happen later in a building process. So as Dasha said, the building footprint itself had no issues, and later, once the landscaping and final paving and surface is all in, that's when this was discovered.
Any, Carrie?
Through you to planning. So these were built 2019, 2020? So that was built in 2020, the way it is now? And it takes that long to circle around to close out the building permit? Is that
So this is, the driveways are not about the building permit. After the site plan is, after the construction is finished, the inspection happens for securities release for the site plan. So that securities release happens when the developer requests it, not necessarily right away when the construction ends. So that's why there might be a time period between when the construction ends and when the site visit happens. So after the site visit happened, the deficiencies were found and letters were sent to the owners, because at the time, the new owners of each unit came into the ownership. So they inherited those problems from the developer, because the developer did not construct it based on the zoning bylaw regulations.
Can I add to that?
So since you are the developer,
Yes, sir.
are you here representing, well, I'm just curious.
Yes.
Are you here representing what was an unresolved issue that the current occupant is having to deal with?
So we have an agreement with the homeowners that we would go through this process for them on their behalf, given the circumstance and how this was discovered. So
Okay.
we've taken that position to help the owners through the minor variance process and work with them. We paid fees for the minor variance application as well. And to the point, or to the question, yes, this was constructed during COVID. There was a lot of, I'll say, missing paperwork in terms of building permit inspection and stuff. So we've been working since then to get all the inspections done, both inside the house and outside the house, including the landscape review and the letter of credit reduction.
Okay, any further questions from the members of the committee? Otherwise, we'll be asking Tom?
Just a quick one. So on this site plan that's shown, in the absence of something specific that says that walkway is going to not be a different grade or separated from the driveway, so this wasn't caught, I guess, at the building permit stage, that this should circle back as a variance because your driveway width can be, your walkway can be parked on and therefore would be considered outside the 50%?
So at the building permit stage, the driveway was separate from the sidewalk, so that's why it was not identified as a problem, because even though it did not match this site plan, it still met the zoning bylaw, where the sidewalk and the driveway were separate.
This is an as-built drawing. This was done after everything was constructed. We had the surveyor go out and document what's physically on site.
Okay, thank you. Anybody in the gallery with their hand up wish to speak to this application? You have to come all the way down here and do the whole formal thing and turn on the mic.
Can I ask a question just out of curiosity? If that wasn't a rollover curb where the red crosshatching is? In other words, if it was a regular
Barrier.
curb, would that impact anything? So in other words, you've got a continuous rollover curb from the grass all the way to the end of the green hatching. If those two, if the red and the green had a curb face as opposed to a rollover, would that impact?
Thank you. Through the chair, if the curb were raised but the paving remained and was level with the rest of it, you could still maneuver a car onto there. That wouldn't change the zoning compliance. It would still not comply with zoning in terms of the driveway width. It's not based on the actual curb cut, because then we still take into account the actual pavement on the property. So you can't just balloon out after your curb cut.
Thank you. To the person who just sat down, you have one chance. There, nice. Name, address, and comments, please.
John Mitterer, Mitterer. I'm at 60 Tulip Tree Common. These are my neighbors. You have to this is just one piece of information to add to whatever decision you guys are going to have to make. But you have to imagine 3 years after you've taken possession of a property, somebody walks on and tells you he's there to inspect it. They told us that nothing in the basement was finished, the inspector. And then all of a sudden, those permits were granted, and then we were told it was a mistake. It was a terrible experience for all of us. And the builder has, through Mudasser, tried very hard to help us close the doors on an unfortunate episode. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for that contribution. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak to this application?
Hi, I'm Linda Sutter from 46 Tulip Tree Common, and I just kind of a repeat of what John Mitterer has said. We've been living in these homes for 4 years now, and in the past year, to some of the questions you have asked, in the past year, we got letters from the city saying we had variances. We got occupancy permits for those homes when we bought them. And if we had known at the time that there was problems or variances, we probably would have taken a different tact with this or tried to have something cleared up. But you buy your retirement home, and then 3 years later, the city comes in and says, whoops, there's some problems here. I think that's, a bit of a shame for all of us. We've all been taxpayers for many years in this city.
No, we are too. We are volunteers. We are not the city per se. We're acting volunteering on behalf of council. But by the same token, there was an expectation on approved drawings for construction that was vetted by the city that was not actually executed. So yes, it is unfortunate that the time delay is switched. So thank you for your comments. Yes, David.
Question for the person from Silvergate. I went back there today because I was surprised that there was an application for 58, but there wasn't an application for 56. Only to be surprised to see that the layout for 56 more or less resembles what is shown here for 48. And how is that one of the properties in the development was done correctly and all the others were not?
It's a good question. I also wondered the same. I wasn't involved in the deals and negotiations with the homeowners and the changes, so I can't really speak directly to it, but I asked myself that same thing. Why is that one not in this package of applications? But you're right, that one was done correctly and it did not require variance, whereas these three, the driveway was extended for that pedestrian access, and the zoning bylaw doesn't actually speak to separation of pedestrian access and vehicle access in terms of driveways.
So, but David, your point was because that one was done correctly, it's not here, which is the value of following the rules. Right, right. Okay, great, thank you. Mic off again, please. Does staff want to comment on someone reading the zoning bylaw and how clear it is that there should be a physical separation from an integrated sidewalk and driveway? Or are we just, yeah, or I guess we're relying on the fact the driveway width being more than 50% of the unit. Okay, yeah, no, good, thanks. Any more questions from the committee? Otherwise, let's get a motion before us for a vote.
Just a quick question through you to staff, and then I'll make a motion. With the image that's in front of us, what exactly would be acceptable then to bring it to the 50%? Just the elimination of the apron between the driveways, or is it encroaching into the walkway as well?
Through the chair, I suppose you could look at either one. It would be up to the applicant to decide how to get to that 50%, but you could take from one side, the other, or both.
Yeah, I was just curious if half that apron between them would count for the 5%.
I'm not sure I understand, sorry, through
The separation between the two garages, in the green, if half of that would account for the 5% overage.
Through the chair, I'm not sure right now. I'd have to do the math, but if it did, then that would sufficiently.
Sorry, just to clarify, sorry, Rosa, if you go to the next slide, I forgot there's a chart that breaks down the areas there for you. Yes, please. Yeah.
Well, isn't that helpful?
Sorry, I forgot about that chart, so.
So that speaks to your question, Tom. All right, with this information and you volunteering to put a motion forward, please.
Following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance application A7424, as presented in the notice of hearing, be approved, both variances, as the variances are minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and are in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
All those in favor of the motion to approve both variance applications, show of hands. Those opposed? So it was 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Your application has been approved with both variances approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the participation. There can't be anybody left, is there? But there is. Is there not an 8?
There's
There's
two
a
more.
9. Hold on.
There's
Yeah,
two
hold
more
on a
this,
second.
yeah.
Please let me navigate my way to 50 Tulip Tree Common. And common indeed, because these all have common applications. So without anything further, is there anything you wish to say to this application? Don't mind them. To start.
It's a similar discussion regarding the driveways. Again, on the next slide, there is a chart that breaks it down, but similar to the other ones, the driveway width, pedestrian walkway, and the concrete landscaping are making up the overage on the driveway requirement.
Okay. Surely there's no one to speak to this application, but I'm gonna have to ask anyway. Okay, I asked. Any discussion, questions, clarifications? Otherwise, a motion would be appreciated. From Dale. Turn on your microphone, tilt it towards you, lean into it, and see how you go.
So, tested 1, 2, okay.
So this is the staff report recommending denial of the one minor variance related to the driveway width. You have heard, you read the report. You're about to make a motion based on the 4 tests as to how you feel, what your motion should say relative to this application.
I would say motion approved. Oh, yeah. Following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance application A 25 as presented in notice of hearing be approved, subject to the conditions outlined in the technical report, as the variants are minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and are keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
Okay, so thank you. There are no conditions in the report. Staff recommend denial. You're recommending approval. All those in favor of the motion to approve? Those opposed? Again, 4 in favor, 1 opposed. That application has been approved. Thank you. And now there is a number 9 for 58 Tulip Tree Common. How similar is this to every click? Oh, it's so similar that there's nothing you could possibly have to add. If there's an image, we'll be happy to see it. Any questions? Can't imagine. Anybody in the gallery wish to speak to this application? No. Can I have a motion, please?
Following consideration, okay, Master Chair, I don't know how you introduced or whatever, but following consideration of all written and oral presentations, I move that variance application A2325 as presented in the notice of hearing be approved. No conditions, as the variants are minor in nature, appropriate and desirable for the use of the land, and are in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
All those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? Thank you. Your application's been approved. 4 in favor, 1 against.
I just have one process question. So is there an appeal period now?
Yes, there's a 20-day appeal period, but it's very limited as to who can appeal.
Right.
So neighbors cannot appeal. People who can appeal are
Ourselves as
the city.
So we need to wait for the 20-day appeal period to lapse before a permit application for a deck is submitted? Is that correct? Okay, cool.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
As far as I can tell, we are at the end of our hearing agenda. Is there any new business to discuss? No? The date of
No
our
new
next
business.
hearing is the 23rd of April, because we have a special hearing. May we have a motion to adjourn the hearing? Yeah, great, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Thank you, Dale.